Hello, my name is Frank Lopsiger. I'm the author of the book, The Art of Self-Love. I would like to welcome you to my channel called the Self-Love and Self-Empowerment channel. This channel is all about practical ways of how we can learn to cultivate self-love, how we can relate to ourselves in a more conscious and more loving way. And that is actually what will help us to feel more empowered. Because essentially, self-love and self-empowerment, they really go hand in hand. The more loving you are with yourself, the more you feel empowered. And the more empowered you feel, the more you feel that inner sense of love and fullness. On this channel, I will share information that will help you to see why loving ourselves is so important. Why it is so important that we give ourselves the attention, the recognition, the acknowledgement and the self-approval that we always look for out there in other people. Unfortunately, we were never really consciously trained, at least most of us, to learn of how we can learn to love ourselves. Because most of us believe that love, appreciation, approval is something that only can come from other people. Essentially, we have learned that love is something we have to get from others. That means we have to be kind, we have to be positive, we have to do things in order that other people feel us worthy to give their love to us. But unfortunately, as long as I think that love is out there, then I will always feel dependent. I will always feel at the mercy of somebody else giving me their appreciation, their love, or at least their attention. But on an even deeper level, if I really think that love can only come from out there, then I will always feel like a beggar. Someone who is like begging for love. Unconsciously, I will always try to say, please, please love me. Please give me attention. Please tell me I'm a good person. Please give me this physical care, this tenderness, whatever it is that I long for. And what I would like to promote with the self-love and self-empowerment channel is the idea that we are actually capable of learning to give ourselves more of that, what we always would like to get from others. And don't get me wrong, it's wonderful to be loved by another person. It's wonderful to get compliments, to be approved of, to be recognized, to hear, you're a good person, wow, you do this so great, or today you look so good. It's always a wonderful thing to get positive words from other people. But what happens if we don't get this approval? What happens if we don't get these compliments? What happens if we're actually being criticized? How do we deal then with the situation and other people? But most of all, how do we deal with this lack of self-love from others inside ourselves? And that's really what the focus of this channel is all about. It's about learning practical ways of how we can relate to ourselves in a conscious and loving way. How we can learn to transform this negative critical voice within ourselves, which I call the inner critic. Because it's the inner critic that constantly compares us with other people. It's the inner critic in us that has a certain standard, a certain belief of how we have to be. And if we're not, then this inner critic feels justified to tell us you're bad, you're not good enough, or even worse, to project this negativity into the future by telling us you will never succeed, you will never be good at that, you will never be able to live your dream. But the truth is, when we start to cultivate a more loving, a more conscious dialogue with ourselves, actually a more positive dialogue, then we actually start feeling how our self-worth, how our self-esteem, and essentially how our self-confidence is rising. Because what the inner critic does is it crushes our self-worth, it crushes our self-esteem, and eventually we will feel like we have no self-confidence. And so when we think of what we would like to achieve in our life, when we think of our goals, then very quickly the inner critic comes in. Forget it, that's not for you. You will never make it. You will never succeed. And it's really not that we cannot succeed. It's just that we believe this inner critic and we haven't learned yet to cultivate, to establish this positive, this loving, this empowering, this friendly voice within ourselves. And this channel, the Self-Love and Self-Empowerment channel, is really about sharing information and, as I said, practical tools that you can use in order to build that positive inner friendly voice inside yourself, and so that you can feel good about yourself, that you can have a great sense of self-worth and self-esteem, and with that feel, yes, I trust myself. I trust in my own capacity, in my own ability to succeed. And that's when you will feel, yes, I'm confident and I have faith in myself. I have faith in my potential. I have faith in life, and that if I give my best, then life will also give its best and will help me to achieve my goals. And yes, there are moments I will have setbacks. There are moments when I feel not so motivated. There are moments when I sense it's difficult, it's hard. But the positive voice that you keep cultivating through the cultivation of self-love, by applying these self-love practices, will help you to make it through. And that's what this channel is about, and that's essentially my passion. That's why I'm here. That's because I want to reach you. I want to help all these people who are suffering from this ongoing inner critic. And believe me, I know it so well. I have felt so miserable, so incapable. I've actually felt I'm somebody who has no talents and no gifts. And it was really a long process over many years to build myself up to that level where I could recognize, where I could really take in the positive mirroring of my environment and start believing that I have gifts, I have passions, I have things to give that other people appreciate, that enriches other people's lives. And that's really part of when we empower ourselves, when we feel empowered, we want to give our gifts, we want to share what we love to do, we want to live our passion, and we want to uplift first ourselves and then secondly our environment, and be a positive and loving presence in the life of other people. And so if you would like to learn how to relate to yourself in a positive, loving and conscious way, then this channel will help you to cultivate self-love and self-empowerment in your own life. And this is what this channel is all about.